Welcome to Legends Live, presented by the National Basketball Retired Players Association, the official home of NBA and WNBA legends. We are in our 12th week of Legends Live. I can't believe it, but the calendar speaks the truth. And I just wanted to thank all of the viewers who have been tuning in for the past 12 weeks and helping make Legends Live a success for the NBRPA. Now, on today's episode, we have a Tuesday chat with Kenny Gattison is here to talk with NBA legend Dale Ellis. Now, Dale played in the NBA for 17 years. He's an NBA All-Star. He's the current chapter president of the NBRPA Atlanta chapter. And here to kick off the conversation, let's bring Kenny Gattison and Dale Ellis to the show. Welcome to Legends Live.
Hey, Bridget, how are you?
Glad to be here.
Hey, Dale, let's get right into this because we were chatting it up a little bit before we came on live, and we were talking about how many minutes have you played in a game, and
Right.
I knew about it, but it was so long ago, and I think you still hold the record. So tell us about that game and you playing every minute of regulation and every minute of all 5 overtimes.
Well, I was a Sonic at the time, and we were playing Milwaukee. The game was like a pickup game, Kenny. You didn't want to see it end. The more the game went on, the more energy you got. But towards the end, you started to burn out a little bit. But I ended up playing 69 minutes. I played all the minutes of the overtime, 5 overtimes. Xavier McDaniel played all the minutes of the overtime, so he ended up with 68 minutes. Wow. So he had second, and then we, as a duo, has the most points scorer in a game as a duo. The only thing that was bad about the game, we had a back-to-back game. We had to go to Chicago. I had to chase Michael around the next night, so that was a little difficult.
Well, I kind of already know how that went. Well, and it's funny. It's like, you sit around and you talk with the fellas throughout the years, and the most minutes I played was all 48 of regulation and all 53, all 5 of the overtime, so 53 minutes.
Right.
And I came into practice next day with the newspaper folded under my arm and a cup of coffee. I'm like, y'all got it. I ain't got nothing left but 69 minutes.
Right.
And then to have to play the next night. I don't know if you hear about football players going in at halftime and getting IVs and all that, but you an X-Man out there.
Well, got to take your hat off to those older cats that paved the way for us to play the game. Playing 3 games in 3 consecutive nights. That was difficult. Yeah,
when I came in the league in '86, I think that was the last year you played back to back to back. And
right.
You know how it was out there because I started in Phoenix, and people don't, all they hear about now is the private team jets and all that. But Dale, you remember those trips when you went to the East Coast to make that swing, and you was gone for 24 days. You had to take all the clothes you had. You didn't fly back and forth. You stayed.
It was difficult. You had to be up for the first available flight out each morning.
Every morning.
So if you played here in Atlanta and you had a game the next night in Milwaukee, you had to get up for the very first flight out because you couldn't miss flights. Right. With the way they're traveling now with the private planes. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah, at the tail end of my career, you started, I think, 3 years before me, and you stayed healthy. You other than a couple nicks and bruises here, I had 2 major surgeries, and when they went from commercial to private jets, it was like some kind of amazing revolution in playing, because when you play the game, and of course you're going to go out to dinner and stay up, yucking up with some friends in that town, and you go to sleep, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then your alarm goes off at 4:30 because you got to be at the airport. You got to be downstairs on the bus at 5 because you got to take the first flight out. So those commercial jets have made it a lot easier on your body because you get to the plane, you got food, you got a first class seat that you can lay back in. So I was, those last few years of my career, I was like, this is nice.
Yes, absolutely. I came in to believe we were flying commercial, so it was difficult.
Right.
Once you have the private planes, I mean, it was ideal.
No, it was great. Now let's talk about, and it's one of these things where guys from each era, you talk about, could he have played in this era?
Right.
As good as Oscar Robertson was, the big O, could he have played in an era where you were so dependent on a 3-point line? We'll never know because they didn't have a 3-point line.
Right.
And you're always saying this and saying that, but I believe you could have played in any era because it's not that you were, and a whole lot of people, you probably had the prettiest jump shot forget the NBA, in the whole world. I mean, you elevated on that shot and it was like a pitch it perfect form, but people don't understand, for as great a shooter as you were just as good of a scorer. And people don't understand the difference between a pure shooter and a pure shooter that can score. They talk about that part of your game where you get these specialists now.
Right.
And with hand checking and all this stuff, the physical play back in our day, you would have never been able to dribble the ball 8 times to get a shot.
Right.
So talk about your skill set and how you would be able to flourish in today's game.
Right.
And some of the players from today's game, how they would have flourished back in the 80s and the 90s.
I got you. My high school coach was a great shooter, and my teammate, Thomas Jones, a jazz guitarist now.
Mm-hmm.
And could shoot the lights out of the ball. So, pickup games we'd play. A coach was young. He was young, in his early 20s, coaching high school basketball. And he played low college basketball. So he'd run up and down the floor with us. We played pickup games. You couldn't catch me posting up. In high school and college, I was a post player. I played some center. A lot of people don't know that. I was drafted into the NBA as a post-up player. I played with my back to the basket.
Right.
But in off season, I'd work on other aspects of the game because my goal was to play NBA basketball. I knew at some point I'm not going to be able to play that position against big guys like yourself, Kenny. Posting up, it's too physical down there. I love playing out on the perimeter. So the game right now is like a pickup game to me. And you mentioned Oscar Robertson. I think he'd make the adjustment easily. Mm-hmm. You look at guys like Gary Payton. I can think of another point guard. They came in, didn't have very good shooting skills, but they're developing into 3-point. Jason Kidd, developed into a very good 3-point shooter. The game, those old school cats could adjust to this game very easily because it's like a pickup game in a lot of ways. The coaches just turn them loose, say, "Go have fun." That's what it kind of looks like. There's no such thing as a bad shot.
No.
There's no hand checking rules, so I can't imagine anybody trying to stop at Oscar Robertson in today's game.
Exactly, and and it would be a lot easier for the players in the 80s and 90s to adjust to today's rules and play and thrive. But there's probably, I would say without a doubt, and just going off the cuff, LeBron James, D Wade, and the late great Kobe Bryant, they'd have had no problem playing back in the 80s and 90s because of the physicality, because that's what they thrived on. That's what they thrived on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the transition going back in the 80s and 90s with all of the physical hand catching and getting up in a guy's jock, as we used to call it, these guys today would have a lot harder time adjusting to our style of play. And like you said, you know, these guys today, they'll go out in the game and they'll be 3 for 14 at halftime.
Right.
Back when we played, if you were 3 for 14 at halftime, the coach can tell you start loading up the bus because you were not getting back in the game.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I did a little research today, and I've kind of been through the years, you know, because I played against you, and I was playing with Dell and Steph and Seth were little boys when they were born, and so I'm like, you know what? Let me sit down today and do a little homework. And this is I just did this about an hour ago because I was curious. Okay. And basically what I went back to, I found the year that you averaged 27.5 points.
Mm-hmm.
I found the year where Steph averaged 27.3 points. You played all 82 games. He played 69 games. But that's a big enough sample size to know what your games were about. Okay, now, and I don't know if you've ever done this, but I've kind of thought about it, but I've never actually did the research. This is what I came with. Dale Ellis averaged 27.5 points. You took 16 two-pointers per game. Mm-hmm. And you made 8. You shot 50% from the 2. Now, this is what is probably going to blow a lot of people. Oh, it blew me away. Your 3-point attempts, averaging 27 points, was 4. And you made 2. You shot 50%. Isn't that amazing how the 3-point line was not as valued, sort of say, as it is today? Now, here's Steph's Curry, his stats, averaging 27 points. From the 2, he takes 7 shots a game, and he makes 4. So he shot roughly the 40 to 50%, 53%. That you're very, you know, to be a thin guy, he can get to that paint and finish. And you got the floaters and the finger roll. But this is the amazing part. From the 3-point line, he took close to 12 3-pointers a game, 11.7, and he made 5.1, shooting 44%. Can you imagine if you could have taken 12 3-pointers in a game back in the 88, 89 season? You probably would have averaged 42.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the way the game has changed. That's why I say without a doubt, you would thrive in today's game because you didn't have the defenders on your shirt, on your hip like you did back in the late 80s.
Right.
But it was amazing to me that you took so few threes. Was that something? Of course, we know that it wasn't a part of the game plan. You just didn't. I mean, can you imagine Steph Curry playing for Hubie Brown?
No.
I mean, you still wouldn't hear of him because he'd have never got off the bench, you know, to get out and jack up the shots. But you took 4 3-pointers a game. But the greatest shooters you were, I was astonished to see you only took 4 a game. Was it a part of how the game went, or your mindset was not to just be I mean, I remember you playing in college, and you were you played 15 feet in the end.
Yeah.
You know, and then you evolved. But Come on, as great a shooter as you were, did you ever want to just shoot more than 4 shots? Whether the coach holding you
No,
back or your game was just be as efficient as you could?
you know, my first 3 years were played in Dallas. I didn't get the opportunity I wanted. I got that opportunity when I went to Seattle.
Right.
With Lenny bringing me in, Lenny Wilkins, and Bernie Bickerstaff coaching.
Exactly.
And he threw me into the starting lineup and told me to go play basketball, have fun with the game, shoot the ball. He called a timeout once because I threw the ball away. And we were in the huddle. He said, "You're here to shoot the basketball. If you choose not to shoot it, you can sit down here with me." And I said, "Okay." I just came from Dallas. I want to play basketball. So I'm trying to develop a mentality to shoot it a little bit more. But
Well,
what you want to do is play selfish basketball, you know? You remember the me generation, that generation got labeled that. You know, it's all about team basketball. You got to let the big guys touch that ball every once in a while, get them involved in the game.
Right.
But the game is, but it's evolved so much now where it's, the game is beyond the arc. They're taking a big man out of the game.
Oh,
I miss the physicality in the game of basketball. It's starting to lose that a little bit, but that's all part of the fun.
Yeah, but I can, one thing that today's game is a lot prettier than what we played in.
Right.
I couldn't play in today's game. If I shot a three-pointers in my life, it was an accident because Del Curry threw me the ball with 3 seconds so he wouldn't mess up his shooting percentage, and I'd fling it up there. Yeah. But the next thing I want to discuss has nothing to do with basketball, and it's the movement that's going in this country, and of course, you and I are at the age now we've seen a whole lot of things.
Right.
We little boys going through the civil rights movement and seeing how all that going, and it's one thing to have a protest. It's a different thing of movement. The ocean, the tide is a movement. And in high tide, everything rises. In low tide, everything goes down. We're in this country. This is a movement. This is something that has shaken this country to its core. And it's a tsunami now.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about your bird's eye view from above, looking at our great nation with all of the diverse ethnic groups and races and everybody that's pulling together now, and they're for the first time in this country, there's a commitment to ending social injustice. Tell me, in the last few months, how when we've been quarantined and the things that you've seen, things I've seen, I'm like, this is different.
Right. I didn't see the video of the young man being, murdered. To me, it's like a modern day lynching. I can bring myself to watch it. I saw the clips. I have friends that I talk to constantly about this. Black, white, Republicans, Democrats. One thing I don't like doing, Kenny, is talking about politics and religion.
Right.
I kind of shy away from it, but I got friends that will engage in those conversations with me and not take offense to things that I say, and vice versa. But this is a worldwide movement. I don't believe this is going to end. It's well overdue. It's well overdue. And with the pandemic taking place, it just throws a little more fuel on the fire. And the current president that we have in office continues to throw fuel on that fire. I try to find a beauty in all situations. Sometimes that's difficult, but what he's doing is bringing awareness to what has been existing for a long time. and it's time for a change. And the world is seeing it. So I think this is a special moment.
Well, and like you said, it's one of those things that, you know, much like yourself, outside of my house, I do not discuss religion and politics. You know, you know, it's like opinions. Everybody got one.
Right.
But what we're seeing, what we're seeing worldwide is everybody's walking in solidarity. You know, before you go back to the racial riots and racial unjust back in the 60s and the early 70s, and the black people were out there alone. They had to walk through the dogs, the batons, the water hoses. Mm-hmm. Now you have white, you have Asian, you have different nationalities. It's not about whatever your political interest is. This is about human equalities. And it can't be ignored now because it's happening in real time. You know, when Kaepernick took a knee in 2016, everybody's like, what's he doing? He's you know, and you know, it's one of those things when white folks stand up for something that they feel is not correct, mm-hmm. they're called demonstrators.
Right.
When black people stand up for something they feel is not correct, we're called protesters. So he's taking a knee, protesting police brutality and social injustice in America. And everybody's like, what is he doing? He's just trying to ruin a good brand, the NFL. And lo and behold, 4 years later, exactly what happened. I've never watched the entire video of the George Floyd killing, but that knee that Cap was taken in 2016 is so symbolic of that officer putting his knee on a black man's neck. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's been one of these things that when we were yelling about police brutality in the 70s and the 80s, everybody took the overall attitude of, what are these black people complaining about? They're living in America. They got it good as they ever had. They should mm-hmm. stop complaining because things aren't that bad. But now when they see it in real time because of technology, it can't be ignored. So like you, it's been long overdue. It's been way too much social injustice and brutality. But like you said, I think this is a worldwide movement and it's not going to be brushed aside. Like I've lost count, but you've never seen so many officers charged. I ain't talking about giving a reprimand and an administrative duty. Right. These guys have been charged with murder and assault. So what's happened now, the precedent has been set. So I think there's still a long ways to go now. It's getting better. It's not near that. So we gotta, as a human race, and it's not black and white anymore. It's the human race.
Right.
So, you know, good to hear your point of view on that. And I always like to talk about that with guests. So people, whether we're talking about basketball, our careers, we're sharing knowledge. Mm-hmm. Whether we're talking about this movement, we're still sharing knowledge. And that's the thing that needs to be shared throughout this country. When you hear people's stories and their experiences, you learn from that. Mm-hmm. Let me get your opinion on this topic, which is, it might be the plug might be pulled before we really get started. This Orlando bubble, trying to get the league back started. They do not want to lose all of that television revenue. They do not want to end the 2019-2020 season without crowning a NBA champion. But with this pandemic and the spikes that's happening throughout, especially Florida, and now you're seeing, over the last couple of days where baseball has agreed to a whatever their bargaining agreement is to go back and play. And some of the players are like, no, I'm not playing. It's home is where I belong. And you see some of the basketball players are starting to opt out.
Right.
As a former player, how would you respond to the state of the country with this pandemic, but with this urgency? Yeah, we all love our sports. We miss our sports. But, what's the most valuable is human life. If you were a player today, give me some of your takes on how you'd be feeling right about now.
Well, I'm sure if I was playing ball today, Kenny, I'd be in top shape, ready to go back if they say go back, and everything was okay. But we're not there. Like, the numbers are going crazy again, out of the roof. I think we opened it up way too early, and it was all because of one person's personal agenda. So, and it's a mistake. We're way behind the 8 ball on getting these things corrected, this pandemic in our country. So it'll be difficult to go back. I'm like I said, I would be in great shape, but I have to consider not only my well-being, but my family's well-being as well. Money's not everything.
Right.
And tomorrow's not guaranteed. So I really like to enjoy this thing while I can,
Yeah.
I love the game of basketball, and playing without fans would be difficult for me. Fans make the game. There was so many times I wanted to get up or lay down, and the alarm goes off and it's time to go. And it's hard to get up until you get into the arena and you hear those fans. It's hard to get up for 82 games. If you play the playoffs, exhibition games, it's over 100 games.
Yeah.
How do you get up for every single one of them? My first coach, Dick Moller, said, a true professional can get up for 80 games. They might miss 2 games where they can't get up for them. So I knew that as a rookie. Right. He said it. I believed it. I wanted to be a true professional. I try to find ways to get up, but it's difficult. Yes. The fans make it all possible. Once you walk into that arena, smell the popcorn, and hear the chatter going on, you get the goosebumps. You ready to go play? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it'd be difficult playing without fans. I don't see how the guys could do that one.
Yeah, I think the purpose of what they're doing, trying to get the season back to crown a champion, is noble, but at the same time, with the spike of new cases every day around the country, especially in Florida, you run the risk of somebody losing their life, and that cost is too high at any level. And one of the things that I'm a huge college football fan, and I've been sitting here looking at and reading some of the stuff of 2-3 weeks ago where they're opened up back to facilities and start letting college teams come back to campus and start working out and da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. I read an article, I think Sunday. Clemson Tigers have had 37 players, staff, and immediate members of their football operations department test positive for COVID. 37.
Wow.
Why are they even still open? So I think people are getting their priorities out of whack here. You know, you're putting these young kids' lives, their health at risk, just so the fans will have college football in September. Well, the rate this pandemic going, you might not have college football or NFL football come September and October. You know, so just like you're saying, with we all love the game of basketball. We all love our sports here, you know, around the world. And, you know, just hopefully, you know, knock on wood, everybody can get down to Florida and get in that bubble and stay in that bubble. But as you and I we know all too well, you're going to have 200 rich young athletes that's been locked up in their house for 2.5 months, and you're going to take them to Orlando and turn them loose?
Right.
Good luck with that. So, you know, it's going to be, you know, if they can pull it off without having any major, somebody's going to test positive. It just, this thing is too universal, so to speak. It's just somebody's going to come in contact. So hopefully they have all of the protocols in place to keep these guys safe. And, you know, even though it's hard playing without fans, we've all had that 5 games and 8 nights, and you come in that arena and you feel like a wet towel, and you're like, soon as you hear that crowd start roaring and they call your name and they start cheering from you, ready to go. So,
absolutely.
But yeah, hey Bridget, let's bring you in and see if we had any questions that anybody wanted to ask Dell or something that
no questions on my end, but I did want to point out one thing. The same season, Dale, where you were averaging 4 3-pointers a game.
Yes.
You won the 3-point contest that year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that speaks to Kenny saying you could play in pretty much any decade. Do you think, though, you could still win the 3-point contest in today's basketball?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Shooting is just rhythm. You know, I always looked at those guys. On any given night, any guy could win it. It's just about getting off to a good start and finding yourself a good rhythm. Well, yeah, I think I could win it. It'd be fun to compete with these guys. You got a lot of great shooters in the game now.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, and to talk about that, you know, and you look at the shooters of today, and almost every one of them, they shoot differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember when I was coaching Paige Ostakovich down with the New Orleans Hornets, and you know, after practice, want to get shots up, and Paige's feet would be turned one way, his shoulders would be turned another way, and his pinky would be sticking out this way. But I'm telling you, all I had to do was stand under the net, and you know, almost like with yourself and Dell Curry, great shooters. If the ball hit the rim, y'all, that don't count. That don't count. That's how Paige was. It's like if that net didn't pop, that don't count. I'll do that again. You know. But this is the one thing that throughout time, with all these guys back in the day and all the guys today, you get my vote because you had the prettiest jump shot. That you know, when you look at a guy shooting the ball, and you know, I was inside, you know, holding out and list off, trying to climb my back and get an offensive rebound, so I could see the trajectory when that ball left your hand. And I'd be like, Alvin, stop pushing the ball going in. He's like, man, this is how I gotta eat. I gotta hear that hit me in the back of the head with an elbow. But you look at great shooters, and as soon as the ball leaves their hand, and you as a big, you looking at the trajectory and the arc and everything coming in. Before it get halfway there, you just put your hands down and see that ball going in, and that's how it was. That and the thing that I say about you, and this is true for anybody, it's that repetition. It's almost like muscle memory, and you could fit in, give yourself a little practice. I put my $2 on Ellis in a 3-point contest, but anyway, man, great to have you on here, and appreciate you jumping in on with me. This has been a really fun thing for us to do, Legends Live, and bring on, legends and non-legends, and get a chance to talk about the social issues of the day, to get a chance to talk about hooping it up, back in our era, and just, for the viewers that listen in, they get to find out these little things that you can only know if you're sitting there listening to people that played the game. So, again, thanks so much for being on with us, and you and the family and Daphne, y'all stay safe and sound down in ATL.
Thank you, Kenny. I really appreciate it, brother. I enjoyed it.
All right. Okay. Appreciate it. Legends Live will continue when Bridget come on and tell us who's next.
Yeah, thanks, Dale. Take care.
Thank you, Brittany.
Bye. So, Kenny, you are right. We will be continuing with the second part of Week 12. Kenny, can you believe we're in Week 12 of Legends Live?
No, it's been fun. It's been very enlightening to hear other people's perspectives from, different walks of life, different eras. And, it's just, but it doesn't seem like 3 months. So
I know.
It's the way. Time flies when you're having fun.
I guess so. And it's better because you're here. The chat with Gats are very fun. So we will have our next episode this Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, right here, same place, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch via @NBA Alumni. And if you would like to watch any of the previously recorded episodes, including today's conversation, just go ahead to legendsofbasketball.com/Legends Live. And as always, thank you so much to our viewers for tuning in. Thank you to Kenny Gattison, and thank you to Dale Ellis. And until Thursday, take care of each other and be well.